Hello, everyone who is joining us live for this session. Today, I have Jason here, Jason Dindorf, who is a business English specialist. And together with Jason, we are going to speak about how Jason gets students and actually grows his teaching business. So, hello, Jason, and hello, everybody else.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Teacher Academy. Hi, Steffi. It's good to see you again. Thanks for having me.
Great. So,
I'm excited.
hopefully, many people will join and watching us live, but I'm sure some people will just watch the recording later on. But this session is very important because a lot of teachers have these questions, Jason, that how can I get students? Or even how can I get students online? How can I grow my teaching business? And also, we are going to touch on consistency once you start looking for your students online. And Jason is
Mhm.
going to speak about that because, in my eyes, he's been one of the most consistent teacher entrepreneurs I've ever met. He literally follows everything consistently, even on the days when he feels a little bit under the weather or when challenges happen. So, let me just see who is joining us. And if you can just say hi to us and even maybe mention which country you're joining from or how you are today. And the same question to you, Jason, how you are today?
I'm doing great. I'm really happy. This is a very surreal experience. I've been watching a lot
Mm.
of your interviews and James's interviews, and I just feel happy to be a part of the Teacher Academy, and hopefully I can contribute value and inspire others, I'm
Yes, you
excited.
always do that, Jason. So, the very first question, I guess, for the people to get to know you a little bit better, who are you, Jason? How would you introduce yourself to
Yeah,
everybody?
so I'm Thank you, Steffi. I'm from the United States originally. I'm from Fairfax, Virginia, which is right outside the Washington, D.C. area. And I live in Colombia. I live in the top of South America. I've been here in December, will be 4 years. And I am a business English specialist. I've been teaching English for 6 years now. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm passionate about teaching. My wife is Colombian. I speak Spanish, and I have students globally, and I am really enjoying the journey and the process on Teacher Academy.
Thank you, Jason. Is it cold now in Colombia?
No, it's always warm.
It's always wonder.
Yeah, yeah. It was 17 this morning, and
Okay.
17 is cold. But for me, and I think probably for you, it's not cold at all. So yeah, it's between 17 and 27 all year round. And they call Medellin, where I live, the city of eternal spring. So
Mm.
it's always nice, great weather, but it does rain a lot. It's a little bit like a tropical Seattle, if you will. It rains a lot in Seattle in the United States. So it's beautiful though.
So,
It's a
and
lovely
with this
city.
stable climate, I guess it's easy to follow consistently any action. So, for those of you who want to be consistent, move to Colombia. You're going to be more consistent with your actions because of the climate and everything.
Lots of
Um,
sunshine. Yes.
yes, Christine is here, joined from the US. Yes, so nice to have you here, Christine. We are happy for you to join us. And Amarita joined as well from Spain. Great.
Amazing.
So, what I want to ask you, Jason, because I know you've been teaching on the platforms.
Hmm.
Now you're a teacher entrepreneur and you're looking for your own students on social media through different ways. But if you think about the platforms, once you know, join the platforms, what was it like for you? Maybe if you can just mention some pros and cons, things you enjoy, things you don't enjoy, so that teachers are aware where you started.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for asking me, Steffi. So, yeah, I think for me, when it comes to the platforms, they do a lot of marketing. They do a lot of marketing for you, and if you build your reputation, your profile basically sells itself. And I think that's definitely beneficial. That's worked in my advantage over the years. But I would say is the con is that constantly there's a fear that I could get fired for one little technical thing that I did wrong. So I feel like you are dispensable. You're dispensable when you're a teacher on a platform because you're one of basically thousands of teachers. And I feel like you kind of honestly you get lost in a sea of general teachers, right? And students are actually lowering their price expectations based on what the market on, for example, Preply, where I work pretty much full time still now, and also Cambly are. So you're trying to compete with other people in a lower price level, and there's constantly
Mm.
the idea that if I do one little thing wrong, all of this hard work could go away. And yeah, that's a big con for me. So
I see. So, kind of the good thing is you don't have to do your marketing, and students come to you once you already have enough students who see your work and your testimonials and everything. But
mhm,
then at the same time, there are a lot of people you have to compete with because it's general English teaching. And
mhm,
also, you never know when something goes wrong and maybe you just get fired or they just don't want to have you on that platform. So you don't have as much autonomy from what you're
yeah,
sharing. I
yeah,
see. So
yeah.
kind of like considering all of that, what made you think about going independent as a teacher and not solely rely on the platforms?
Yeah, so basically, I moved to Colombia in 2021, and from 2022 to 2022 and 2023, I averaged about almost 100 classes every single week on Cambly, and they were only 30-minute classes, and I literally worked every single day. The only days that I did not work is when I was on vacation, and I quickly realized that I'm doing this for my family, but ironically, I have less energy for my family. You know, it's just really stressful. Any teacher can understand 100 classes is a lot to juggle. And I
Yeah.
loved what I did, and it really helped me build my teaching expertise and make me a better teacher. But at the same time, I knew that it wasn't sustainable, and I knew that I needed to leverage my time more. And that's when I started to grow that mindset and explore, other platforms. That's actually how I found Preply, where I can actually set my price, right? But at the end of
Mm,
the day, it's still a platform, so the next step for me is definitely completely independent, business and no commissions, right? But yeah, I just knew that it wasn't sustainable. And on
mm.
Cambly, I was only making $10.20 an hour, and there is no opportunity to make more. I've been working on Cambly for 6 years now. I still work on there a little bit when things get really slow, so
So
that's when I
basically,
knew.
you still charge the same on Cambly,
There's
Jason.
no opportunity, unfortunately,
Mhm.
to raise your prices. All the teachers, no matter how good, I'm a super tutor, right? And I've been on there for 6 years and taught over 2,500 students and $10.20. That's all it will. Yeah. So there's no room for growth. There's no room
Having
for growth.
100 sessions or 100 lessons and classes per week, that's definitely not sustainable. So in a way, you help a lot of people, but at what cost and with what kind of
Exactly.
energy? So this made you think of being independent as a teacher. And then how did you decide about what kind of students you want to work with? Because on these platforms, I guess you were working with everyone pretty much.
Mhm.
So how did you decide like this is going to be my niche, the group of students I want to work with?
It's a great question. Thanks to you, thanks to James, thanks to the 21 day challenge. I followed the steps, and I really thought about who have I talked to the most out of the last 6 years out of 3,000 students. And it was definitely, and I saw this pattern, Steffi, about 2 or 3 years ago, but IT professionals. And the idea for me as a teacher, as a real teacher, is sure, I'd like to make more money, right? But the only reason why I am successful, et cetera, is because I really want to make an impact. And I knew the ability to make a big impact was with IT professionals, because about 60 to 65% of the 3,000 students I had talked to were them. And I saw this reoccurring pattern, and not just in certain areas of the world, all over the world. So I realized that this could be a really valuable niche for me. And that's when I niched down to specifically Brazilian IT professionals, because I've noticed a lot of demand there. I love the culture. I live in South America, and that's how I chose. That's how I chose my niche on the 21 day challenge in March. So,
I see, because of your experience and skills you had while working with these 3,000 students, and many of them were actually IT professionals.
mhm,
So that's very important to choose a niche and group of students you feel happy about, you feel like you have skills to teach, or you are willing to develop the skills, and
mm,
also that there is demand for your skills and services among these people, and they are willing to pay you higher rates. Um,
yes.
I guess that's very important. Now, when you change to this niche, you still kept teaching at on different platforms, but what was the main difference in that moment when you switched from the platform to teaching to your niche and to looking for your students independently?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I think I've spoke to you before, Steffi, about scaffolding, the scaffolding approach. And for me, actually, it was kind of a little bit odd because I realized that I've already been doing this. The only difference is that it's independent and it's not on a platform. And honestly, I felt a lot more comfortable. And I know the IT industry. I know their pain points. I've been actually subconsciously researching them over the last like 3 or 4 years, building all this information about different positions, and I've gathered a lot of knowledge. So for me, the idea was that I'm building something that's going to be permanent,
Mm.
that nobody can take away from me. All that hard work that I put into Preply, if I do the exact same thing with my business, it'll be something that I can have, for the rest of my teaching career. I hope to retire a teacher and yeah, so that was the big difference, is building towards something bigger rather than just getting more students on a platform that could possibly fire me at any moment. And that feeling for me was really, really empowering. It still is. I feel
Mhm.
more comfortable when I'm speaking to my students privately because I know that I'm completely in control and there's no rules I have to worry about. So it's a great feeling.
And you're building something which is yours and it will always be yours, so you are even more passionate about it.
Yeah.
Saying that, a lot of teachers who turn to be teacher entrepreneurs, they want to see results straight away. So how was it for you? You shifted from platforms to being a teacher entrepreneur. Did you get 10 students the very next day?
No, I didn't. I didn't. Yeah, exactly. And I got one. I've gotten actually, technically, I've gotten two, and I'm waiting for a couple. I got a lot of hot leads. But the idea is, I feel like, launching a business, I've thought deeply about this, and I think it's something that's really important to address to everybody that's looking at this is anything that you've built in life that's really successful, you worked really, really, really hard for it. The harder you work for it, the more success you see, but you realize that it's not a night and day process, right? Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So I take that same mindset with me, and I basically don't expect to see some of the results that I expect to see until maybe I've completed my first year. And I know already by the end of the year that, I will see results, but the idea is that I have to put a lot of work, a lot of energy into it because that's the only way that I built my profile presence on platforms. I worked for thousands and thousands of hours. I have to apply that same mindset. But the idea for me in the beginning, learn, make mistakes, have fun, enjoy the process, and really most importantly, trust the process because once you really start building your consistency in the very beginning, that's what's going to get you to what James calls the bell curve. And the hardest part of starting a business for many entrepreneurs is when the line is like this. But with consistency, in order to get to exponential growth, you have to be okay with not seeing the results. And this is completely normal. And this is the difference between successful business owners, in my opinion, and non-successful business owners because they quit before they hit the exponential curve. So it's not easy. I know that for everybody out there, but it's completely worth it because it's something that's yours, that's permanent, and truly you can actually earn what you're worth, and really leverage your time and have the freedom to make passive income and create different revenue streams, which is what I hope to do.
What I'm hearing, Jason, is that you're not giving up that easily when you don't see the results straight away after doing or putting in the effort, which is very important for every teacher entrepreneur. But I
Hmm.
guess it's also important to mention that once we transition from being or teaching on the platforms or even teaching in schools,
Hmm.
it may be difficult to transition completely and kind of like stop working on platforms and in schools and rely only on your business. So the good thing is that you still work on the platforms to pay for your bills, but at the
Definitely.
same time, you are building this business. And
Yes, exactly. And I feel like honestly, if I can say something, Steffi, is yeah, I mean, I feel really lucky. I feel really blessed because I'm pretty successful in Preply, right? And it's enough to pay the bills and it's great, I realize that some teachers don't maybe necessarily have that. But the idea is that you just have to build the consistency. You have to build the consistency and transition slowly. I hope to fully transition to independent teaching and whenever I get enough students, sooner the better, but maybe a year and a half,
Mm.
maybe, a year. We'll see. But yeah, it's a slow transition. So, yep.
So everybody wants to have consistent students and consistent results, but we need to do consistent work, and that's what you are really much aware of. And that's the reason as well, I guess you joined the Teacher Academy to follow what you need to follow as a teacher entrepreneur consistently every day. So, can you just share with all of us here what
Yeah.
are the things you do every day as a teacher entrepreneur, no matter what, no matter how you feel?
Exactly, right? Tier 3 SOPs, Steffi, right? Tier 3 SOPs, right? So, yeah, I work 2 to 3 hours every single day, and I
Mhm.
complete my SOPs. Sometimes I post 4 times a week, sometimes I post 5, sometimes I post 6. I think last week, actually, I think I posted 7 times, but I start in the very beginning. So I think for a lot of teachers, oh my gosh, this is what I've heard. There's so much to do, right? I don't have enough time. And whenever I get free time in the very beginning of the morning, before my first class, I start checking my notifications. I start checking my messages. That's the very beginning of it, right? After that, DM1, right? I send on all my DM1s, my DM2s, then DM3s, and
What
I
are
literally
DM1 and DM2s, Jason, for everybody who is not aware of this abbreviation? What do you
great
share in
question.
these messages?
Yeah, so DM1s are your DMs are your, I would say, maybe lifeline, right? They're extremely
Mm.
essential. DM1 is sending basically a message explaining kind of who you are. Thanks for connecting with me on LinkedIn. I don't know if this interests you, but I have a free guide for how to speak with more confidence in every tech meeting. Feel free to share more about yourself. You're connecting with them, and in the very beginning, you're offering value, which is a really really great way to initiate engagement with your connections. DM2 is no later than 2 or 3 days. You send your second DM. I know you might be a little bit busy, but if you're interested, I can still send you the free guide, right? So you're checking up on them. I've learned that the DM2 is really really effective, and then DM3 for all of you out there is when they say yes to DM1 and they're interested, they raise their hand, as James would say, right?
Mm.
And you put them on in your leads, on in your CRM, and you send them a follow up message. Have you had a chance to check out the free guide? And you start to engage them deeper and hopefully try to maybe get a strategy session and truly figure out how you can help them, if you can help them, if they're interested, right? And
Mm.
these 3 DMs are absolutely essential. After that, connecting, right? So I think that's something that I've been most consistent with. I've grown my connections from 10 to 2,400, 2,400 in 6 months. If you do the math, that is 24 weeks. 6 times 4 is 24. I'm averaging 95 connections a week. And why? Because I always max out 200. And for me, that's the biggest advantage right now, is because I'm going to have grown my audience to close to 4,000 by the end of the year. I've done my math, I have a goal, and I want to be around 4,000, maybe at the end of 2026, 8,000. I'd love to have 20, but the more people I have, the more eyeballs, right? And the more I can grow my business. So I think it's really important to follow the connections. I have to tell everybody that. I learned it from James' 21 Day Challenge. It's probably one of the most important. Max out all your connections every single week. And after that, catch up, right? For birthdays, work anniversaries, right? Starting a new role. I think connecting is really, really powerful. And then definitely posting is very important. I enjoy it. It's the creative aspect of my SOPs. I get to be artistic, and I enjoy that on Canva. And yeah, what else? So definitely connecting. At least 5
So,
comments
so this is what you do every single day.
every
This is
day.
what you do to make yourself visible, to nurture potential students or clients that you may have, and to
Mhm.
follow up with them and to build your teaching business. So it's your investment in this. And as you said, you connect with people, you send connection requests to as many people as you can,
Mhm.
and you've grown your network like very fast, Jason. but it's also a very meaningful growth because you are connecting with the people from your niche, not just with everybody on LinkedIn or on other social media, but specifically with people who may be your potential students, clients, or even people who can help you get you in front of your students and clients. And then follow up with them with different direct messages that you mentioned, provide some value before you even ask them if they would like to work with you. And posting, and you mentioned commenting, notifications. So these are the SOPs, daily habits of Jason, and you've been doing them consistently, right?
Yes.
Which one is your favorite one? Like you feel like this is a reward for me. Which one do you like following the most out of this?
Yeah, it's a great one. Great question. I think I love connecting because I love checking out
Mhm.
people's profiles, and it's really interesting because I'm connecting with these people all over the world, and well, actually, in specifically in Brazil, to be honest with you. But I think for me, honestly, it would definitely be commenting, because for me, and I thanks to James and the challenge, the commenting challenge, I'm going to finish today actually, and I hope to finish with 110, which will put me at the top. Anyway, I'm a little competitive, just a little bit. So, anyways, I think commenting because you really learn a lot about your niche. I think that's really, really important. And you're showing general interest, authentic interest, which I truly am interested in the IT industry. That's one big reason also why I chose it. Not only the demand, but I really have a natural interest in it. So commenting is great, and I'm getting a lot of feedback, and I'm really enjoying it. And I think people, the IT professionals in Brazil, really appreciate it. Yeah,
Mhm.
they
I can
appreciate it.
see how enthusiastic you are just as you speak about it. So basically, what Jason has been mentioning, this commenting challenge and all the other challenges, is to help him and other teachers become solid teacher entrepreneurs. And all these challenges and all this support is in the Teacher Academy that Jason is part of.
Mhm.
And I would like to describe what Teacher Academy is, but I want to ask you, Jason, what is Teacher Academy to you? What it means to you, and maybe those
Yeah.
teachers who are not part of the Teacher Academy, so that they better understand.
Exactly. So Teacher Academy for me, it's many things, but I kind of lived, I told you this in a previous session, kind of in like a teacher's cave. And I finally came out of my teacher's cave after 6 years. And I was just teaching on my own, but I never connected with the teaching community. And teachers are special people. Teachers have a certain type of mentality. Only teachers truly deeply understand teachers. So the connecting the community is really, really powerful. I feel like the support from you and James is it's priceless, honestly. And I definitely think the accountability is really amazing. And for me, it's extremely motivational to see people in the Teachers Academy that have followed the SOPs, that have trusted the process. They've gotten the results. This is not a hit or miss. This is a proven game plan. It's a proven guide. And really truly today, my main point I want to leave you all with is just follow the steps. Follow the and you don't have to follow them at my pace. Follow them at your pace. Everybody has their own pace, but as long as you're consistent with it. So for me, the SOPs are gold. You are priceless when it comes to the mindset shift. And that's probably one of my favorite parts because I feel like without the mindset shift, it's really not possible. And the idea is that what I wanted to say is being a teacher and being a teacher entrepreneur, completely different things. I know how to teach, I know how to be the teacher, but thanks to you and James and the SOPs and the mindset shift, I've learned how to combine the two, to be a teacher entrepreneur, right? Which is completely different than being a teacher, right? So for me, it gives you all the steps that are digestible. I think the videos are amazing, and there's so many different outlets and creative ways that you can create income for yourself with your skills that you've been developing over these years, and you can really monetize it and get paid what you're worth and leverage your time and really make a great impact because you have material for a specific niche, right? Instead of
Mm.
solving all these different problems, which many teachers can understand that, stretching yourself thin, right? That's not the way to go. To make a really strong, sharp impact, you have to You have to focus on a niche, right? So
Mm.
it's been amazing for me, and yeah, I'm just really happy to be a part of the community, and I hope to be on Teachers Academy for years. Yes, I'm
For
not
years.
going anywhere. Yes.
And we love having you there, Jason. You've been a very valued member of this teacher academy community. I love
Thank
the way you
you.
describe how important teachers are and how important for teachers is to be together. And as you mentioned, like what you enjoy the most about the Teacher Academy, how you say it, I would like to also summarize that the Teacher Academy is like a business school for teachers, but like condensed business school for teachers. You don't have to go there for years, but just after a few months, you already get your business foundation. So Jason very nicely said, like, I'm here, like, for this, I'm going to be showing up for this, even for years, for months. I'm not expecting results right now. And basically, in the Teacher Academy, there are three stages. So it's stage one, where you just learn the business foundation about your niche,
Mhm.
what their challenges are, what their dreams are, how to find them on social media, how to provide some value, how to post, how to comment, how to follow up with them, how to
Yeah.
create a lead magnet, right?
Yep.
And that's what you've already completed, Jason. Then stage two is just to follow what you need to follow. That's what you emphasize, like just follow your SOPs, just do what you're supposed to do as a teacher entrepreneur. If you really mean it, if it's not just a hobby but a real business. So Jason already passed stage two, and now he's in stage three, which is all about already starting expecting results, right? And how long did it take you to get to stage three, Jason?
Yes. So when did I get my first student? Or yeah,
Uh,
when
how long yes, that's one thing. How long it took you to get your first student, and
Mhm.
also how long it took you to get a business foundation and to learn which SOPs you have to follow. So, like, do we speak about years, months, weeks, for other people to imagine, like, how long it takes for you to build business foundation as a teacher entrepreneur?
I'd say for me, Steffi, I think it's a perfect question as all the other questions are. For me, I'd say about 2 months, 2.5, 3 months. But truly, if you follow your SOPs, like repetition is everything, right? And I mean, I can literally, I have a visual memory, but I've memorized my SOPs. I mean, I can see I can see it. I have it etched into my mind, but truly, the value of Teacher Academy and everything is, when it comes to the strategy, thanks to James, it is the SOPs, and you just follow your SOPs, and I feel like, that's what I love the most about it, is that Teacher Academy is for teachers that do not have any experience whatsoever growing a business. And you have to
Mhm.
have a strategy, you have to have lead magnets. Yes, you have to have the consistency, but you have to deeply understand marketing, psychological aspects of it. I mean, it's really, really deep. And you guys have, you and James have created a wonderful program that just holds your hand and gives you what you need step by step. And all you have to do is follow it. Tell me to turn left, I turn left. Tell me to turn right, I turn right. And everybody else that has followed these steps have seen success. It's a proven system. I've seen the success stories with James, and there's teachers with six-figure businesses. I hope to be one of them one of these days. I think I will be eventually. But yeah, so um, it's really easy to follow everybody. It's very easy. This is my first time creating a business, and yeah, I feel like I understood the foundation of it within about 2 or 3 months, and of course, I'm still learning, refining, and polishing, which is what everybody does. You crawl, then you walk, then you run, right? But the idea is really just to follow the SOPs, and thanks to you and James, for me at least, you make it really easy.
Jason, you've got everything it takes for you to be a six-figure business owner and also a leader in your field for IT professionals as a business English specialist. So that's what I can tell.
Thank you.
Um, and the question, actually, I want to give space to other people as well who join
Mhm.
us later, because I can see more people joined. And even Jeff said hi a few minutes ago. So, what questions do you have for Jason about his secrets to consistency? I think he mentioned all of them already, or about the things that you would like to know if you are on your entrepreneurial journey, or maybe if you are about to start your entrepreneurial journey. So maybe you have some questions for Jason. Feel free to ask. And I wanted to ask you, Jason, as well. So you mentioned you got your first client or
Mhm.
student, niche student. How long did it take you?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about, Stephanie. So I got my first student. I started the 21 day challenge in March, in the middle of March, and I started the Teacher Academy, Steffi, in I believe the beginning of May. And I believe I got my first student. I got my first student in July. In July, actually in June, but we started classes in July. Yeah, it was in June. It was the third week of June. So basically, after following the SOPs for um, only it's 7 weeks, less than 2 months, and less than yeah, May, June, and then July. I got my
Right.
student.
Two,
Actually,
two,
so I'm sorry, 2.5 months, two and a half
two and a
months,
half
exactly
months.
2.5 months. Yeah,
So,
so about 10 weeks.
10
Yeah,
weeks. Yeah. So that's great. And I know I remember we celebrated that a lot because the first
yeah,
student is the hardest to get. And
yeah.
also, very often, many teachers actually increase the price with their niche students because
Mhm.
whatever they charge on the platform, they can definitely increase that, charge at least the same or maybe 1.5 or maybe twice more. That's what we encourage teachers. How was it with you, Jason? Did you increase your price with the very first student, or
Of
how did you?
course. Yeah, of course. So on Preply, I was charging before I got my first student independently, I was charging 38, like $38, but after 18% commission, I was only making 31. So I charged my first student $40,
Mhm,
and he has monthly classes with me,
mhm,
and he hopes to study with me for like a year or two. And a lot of my students I have for at least a year. I still have students for like 2.5 years. But anyways, to talk about the price, yeah, definitely. So 40. And then after I get 3 students, I got a second student. He only had 1 class with me, but he had a little bit of financial issues. It was a little expensive for him, which is understandable, but I'm waiting for my proof of concept, which is gonna be huge for me, which will be my 3rd student, which is right around the corner. I have
mhm.
a lot of hot leads, and then after that, I'll raise my price to 50, 3 students at 50, go to 60, right? And so on. So that's my goal, and on Preply, I have gotten my first student at 45. I got my first
Oh,
student at
wow.
45, and I'm only making 38 out of the 45, but for me, it's proof that I can charge 45 because I've never charged 45 before. So that's a lot of motivation, right? For me to go from
Mm.
40 after I get my third student at 40 to 50 because I'm really ready for 50, and I think I'm worth it.
You are worth it, Jason. And increasing prices, it's quite risky or it's quite difficult and challenging for so many teachers for different reasons. Some of them feel they don't deserve it or they are not worth, charging so much. And what was your thinking or beliefs about why can you or why you can charge more as a teacher?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I feel like I have to give you a lot of praise and just like a lot of thanks for eliminating these self-doubting beliefs. I feel like this is a huge subject for many teachers, and I think that it's part of the culture on a platform. And we believe that our value is less than it really truly is. And honestly, it was really listening to you, and it was listening to James, and um, the value that I provide for my students, I've helped them with interview preparation get new jobs, and I've increased their salary by $30,000 or $40,000. But what did they actually pay me over maybe 2 months of preparation or even a month of preparation? Less than $1,000. So imagine that you pay $1,000 to make 30 more $1,000. That's a pretty good deal, right? Should I feel guilty about
Mm,
charging $100 an hour or even 150 for interview preparation in the future? No, I shouldn't. And to answer your question, I always saw more students come as I increased my prices. So I started to listen to the market and realize people think I'm valuable. People see value in me. People, I'm in the top 1% on Preply in earnings, in hours worked. I'm in the top 1%, right? So I realized that there was definitely a demand for me in the market,
mm,
and that really allowed me to follow you like my heart, and realize that I'm worth more than I'm charging. And I think I'm worth more than 50, honestly. I think I'm worth close to 100.
Beyond that, Jason, beyond that, Jason.
Yeah.
One thing I'm celebrating with you and with every single teacher here who is here or who will watch this recording who managed to increase even by $1. I remember how happy I was when I managed that. And also when I doubled my hourly rate and tripled my hourly rate, I was celebrating and feeling I can provide even more value because now I am taken care of more. I can pay for bills easily. I can even enjoy, traveling, massages, and different things, which some teachers can't even afford time wise and money wise. So it's so important to be aware that for you to take care of your students or your clients, you need to take care of yourself first. And what Jason mentioned as well, and I think it's very important, he's not just teaching English to these IT professionals because maybe he couldn't justify why he's charging 50, 60, 70 if somebody else charges 10. But what Jason is doing, he is providing these clients with results. So they get better jobs, they get promoted, maybe international positions, and then they get much more money per month or per year. So he brings them much more value than just new English vocabulary or grammar, right? Jason, would you add anything else here?
Yes, I did also wanna there was something else I wanted to say about raising your prices is that if you
Mm,
are, you're a professional teacher, this is your full-time job, you're really passionate, right? And you feel like you have a lot of value in order to find students that are more professional, that are more serious, you will find them when you raise your prices. And I've gone through this process, right? And there's been some students, that maybe they didn't take it too seriously, they didn't show up for class, they didn't maybe do the homework. And the truth is that for you as a teacher, I can only speak for myself, but for me as a teacher and also for my business, it really only benefits you to raise your prices, because the higher the prices, the more serious that they take that, the better results that you get, the more recommendations that you get, and it makes the whole system and the whole wheel spin. Because I always show up. I give my students everything, right? I give them my heart. I mean, truly, I'm very passionate. I think everybody can tell that, right? I really love it, but I only at this point want to work with people that have that same passion, that have that same dedication. The more that I raise my prices, the better it gets. My new student at $45 an hour, she's amazing. Literally my perfect student. Her energy, everything. So
so she's
it's
more
really
invested.
important. Yes.
Mhm. Mhm. But I think Shayla has a very good comment here, and I want to read it out loud. We may believe we have a certain value, but if the local market doesn't see it and expects you to offer courses at a much lower price, how do you resolve this? That's a very, very valid point, and I want you to answer first, Jason, and then I'm going to comment on this as well because it's a good
Yes.
comment, Shayla.
It really is. I'm so excited to have the first question. I was excited to answer questions today. Thank you for asking, Sheila. I hope everything is going well with you. Perfect question. Honestly, I think the answer to it is Teacher Academy. For me, the idea is that when you break away from the system, from specifically the platforms, you are no longer in that box of general teachers and certain price points, right? And you have the ability to truly set your prices for what you actually really think that you're worth. And I think honestly, the game changes completely when you're outside of the platforms. It was really hard for me to understand how teachers could charge $100 an hour. But the truth is that when you're giving really, really great value and you're increasing their salaries, like we talked about, by thousands of dollars, $1,000 investment is really, really good. So to answer the question for me, break out of the platforms. I mean, that's the reason why the prices are lower, because you're competing in an environment that was not created necessarily by teachers, but by a larger corporate company that's trying to make money. And when you are in charge of your business, you're in control of everything. So that would be my advice, because I completely understand her. I think it's a great question.
Hmm. Yes, thank you so much, Jason. So basically, when you're competing with all the other teachers who are teaching English, you cannot possibly justify charging 50, 60, 70, or it would be very hard. and to get consistent students at this rate. But at the same time, if you just teach general English, then it's right. Like, why should you charge, I don't know, 3 times more than other teachers? But if you are focusing on what results you can get to these students and clients, you can justify that. And specifically when you choose one specific group of students, then
Mhm.
you can market yourself in a more targeted way. You can prepare programs, more targeted programs, because it's that one specific niche you can choose. But I appreciate the question as well, because sometimes it's not about how much you charge per hour or how much you get from that one student per hour, but there are different ways how you can create different offers and programs. So you can have one-on-one sessions, which may be sometimes hard for some people to pay 100 per hour or even 70 per hour, but you can have group sessions where everybody would pay 25, and then you have 100 if you have 4 people in it. Or if you feel like there are even some countries or some individuals who cannot even afford this, you can always create a digital course which is specifically designed to that niche, and you can charge 19 for the course, because that doesn't cost you money then. It's kind of passive income for you after some time, but you don't have to spend one-on-one time. And so you can diversify your products and offers, and you don't have to get this 100 or whatever from one person. And I guess so. Right now, what Jason was mentioning as well, Jason passed stage 1 and stage 2 of the Teacher Academy, where he's just learning about his niche and he's just doing one-on-one for now. But stage 3 about the Teacher Academy is about how can you diversify your offers and programs in such a way that more people can afford your services. So you can be very creative with it. So you still will earn good money, but not necessarily from one student for one-on-one classes, if it's difficult to pay for some people. And Sheila is saying as well, I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years, but the Italian mindset aims to the lower prices, especially if you are not represented by an official training institute. Jason, do you want to comment
This
here?
is a great question. This
Mm,
is a great question. Okay, and this is Sheila. Yeah, this is the same. Okay,
yes.
perfect, Sheila. So I can understand this perfectly. I live in Colombia, and I realize that the cost of not the cost of living, but the average salary extremely low, right? So 40, $50, it's only going to be maybe like the top 5% of Colombians when it comes to salary, right? And I realize that's a big factor. And I live in South America, so this applies for the majority of South America. But for example, my niche is Brazilians. And Brazilians, $50 an hour is doable for many IT professionals. But once it gets higher, for example, I can start and I get a lot of students I could do group classes. And I think that there's another person that has done this before in Teacher Academy. I think his name is, I heard about him, Robbie. I'm definitely a fan of him. Shout outs to Robbie. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, so you can do group classes, and I think what you said, Steffi, for me, the diversification of it is really, really, really important. And I do realize that the mindset is something that's lower, right? And Colombians are exactly the same way. This is actually my most straightforward answer to this. You
Mm,
have to find your audience. You have to find your audience. It doesn't mean that you're not worth it. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means you haven't found the right target audience. And I mean, if people really want my help, they have to pay me what I'm worth. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to continue to sacrifice that to help everybody, because I end up suffering. I end up frustrated. And I that was in the past, right? So I think that you really have to understand the people that you're trying to target, because I completely realize that not everybody can do it financially, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's plenty of people that would be happy to pay for your services, get the results from them, benefit them, and you can make a really great impact. You just have to realize really the kind of people that you're marketing to. So Sheila, maybe I don't want to say some Italians, but like not all Italians, but maybe some, are not your audience. But there is, I guarantee there's an audience in Italy. I think there's an audience in every country. You just have to find them. Yeah.
Definitely, we had some clients who had clients from India, and majority maybe people from there said like, oh, they can't afford to pay maybe the higher prices, but there were clients who could afford to pay higher prices. So yes, the thing is with online teaching as well, you don't have to just stick to one country where the mindset about maybe how teachers deserve to be paid is not as high. But at the same time, even in that kind of country, there are always individuals who can afford to pay more. So I had clients from Italy myself, and they were psychologists, and I was charging. That was 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I was charging. It was about 70 or 80 euros per hour. I think it
Wow,
was about 70 per hour,
that's
and they were
great.
from Italy. So, but yes, not everybody said yes, but there are people in every country that can afford. The good question from Sheila, the next one is, how did you determine that IT was your niche, Jason? I think you mentioned that, but maybe Sheila joined a little bit later.
Yeah, and let me shout out Sheila to Italy. I've had some students from Milan, and yeah, I hope to travel there one day. I've learned a lot about a beautiful country. Yeah, I looked at Sheila. I looked at all the students, and it was very obvious. It actually had been jumping out right in front of my face for years. I noticed a pattern with IT professionals, and like I said in the beginning, Sheila, yeah, I think maybe you joined later, but I'm a real teacher. It's not actually about getting rich. It's about really adding value, and it's about really, really, really making the biggest impact where there's the biggest demand. And for me, that was definitely very visible, and it has been over the last, I'd say, 3 or 4 years. I've really noticed the pattern. I mean, over and over, and project managers, software developers, AI, ML engineers, right, data analysts, all of it. And the IT industry is just growing. It's a really, really interesting industry that's constantly transforming and evolving. And that's how I found out. So it was very obvious to see that there was a really large demand in the IT industry. So I feel like that's where I can make my biggest impact. Therefore, I chose it.
And I like how you emphasize as well the value you bring to them as a teacher, not just to get rich. And I feel like this was kind of, I will use one of the examples for all of you. I went to give a workshop in Switzerland now a few days ago. And the first workshop I always do to make myself visible to this institution, to school, I do it for free because they don't even know me. So I do the first 1 hour or 1 hour and a half for free. And I delivered a workshop and I was focusing on value. How can I help them use the tool straight away the same day or the next day what I'm teaching
Mhm.
to them, the tools that will help them um, get better results. And they were so happy with the value that they paid me, and I didn't ask for money, they paid me. So when people really receive value, they are very happily paying even if you don't ask them for money. That was very interesting experience for me that I experienced actually this weekend. um,
Beautiful.
Yes,
Wonderful.
I was very happy because I focused on delivering value, but at the same time, I was aware of my value, like what I'm bringing there, and they felt it, and they were happily paying me. So again, it was not the one person paying all of that; it was like a group
Mhm.
workshop. So everybody, even if they paid 20 every person, but if there were many people,
That's
then
great.
it added up to be good. Yeah. Um,
Wonderful.
I want to Okay, so Sheila is asking one last point. You mentioned Milano, and it is a rich Italian region. Where you live may have a significant impact on pricing. Do you agree?
Mm. This is a great question. I love the question, Sheila. Keep them coming. Okay, can I see the question one more time? I just
Yes,
want to read
Jason.
it.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Okay, you mentioned Milano, and yeah, is a rich Italian region. Definitely true. Definitely true. Where you live up. Um, yeah, to answer the question, this is a great question, but for me, Sheila, this is the beauty of technology. Is that literally the whole map. Right? The whole map. I mean, so you can reach people, all over the world. I think it does depend, though. I think this is really important to say. I only work remotely. I only work remotely. I do not work with my students in person. I started my teaching career in Santiago, Chile in 2019, and I taught for 1 year in person, and I loved it. But after the pandemic hit, I have been working only online. Therefore, Colombians will ask me all the time, like, what do you do? I talk to the world. I talk to the world every day from my office and my apartment. And I just feel really lucky because I have students all over the world. So for me, to answer your question, Sheila, it depends on if you're only giving classes in person or not. Because if you are not getting clients, or if you are teaching students in person, maybe you should truly consider the bigger market, which is the world out there, right? If you have a decent camera, you don't need a lot of really expensive equipment to get going, and if you have experience, that's most important, right? So it doesn't I would answer the question, to be very honest, it doesn't, because where you live is only physical, and I hope to have, Colombian students in the future, but I don't, and that's okay, because I don't need to get classes or students in person. I have students all over the world, and yeah, that's my answer.
But even if you diversify your offers, you can even teach Colombians maybe at a lower rate for them, but your offer will be diversified, so you won't have to stay one-on-one with them. And thank you, Sheila, for all
True.
these questions. And if anybody has more questions, please do ask. We are going to be wrapping up, but I have two more questions for Jason. So one is, so many people feel nervous about going independent or even about joining the Teacher Academy, where we teach teachers how to go independent and what steps to follow to get consistent students. What doubts did you have, Jason, before going independent or even before joining the Teacher Academy, and how you overcame them?
Yeah. Okay. Really good. Like, what doubts? Yeah, it's a really good question. For me, something that was consistent, was the
Mhm.
biggest fear. Is But how difficult will it be to replace students? Because that's something that busy teachers have to do eventually. If they're good, they give them results, and you have to replace them. The consistency was a big, I think for me, was a big fear, and actually just the way that I would be received. Just putting yourself out there. That aspect of being vulnerable, on the internet. And I'm new on LinkedIn. I feel a lot more comfortable now than I did 6 months ago. But I feel like being vulnerable, the consistency aspect, what the actual students would be like. Maybe
Mhm.
would they change? Would they be a different type of crowd? Or those were some things. And what I've learned is that they're the same people. They're the same people that I talk to on platforms, but now it's just independent, and it's better. It's more comfortable for me, and yeah. So I've used that scaffolding method a lot, but I'd say the consistency, and I believe that as long as you have consistency with your SOPs, especially with the connections, James says, is that's what will enable you to continue to get consistent students. Because even if you have 5,000 connections, you need to continue to grow it. You want to grow it to 10,000 and 10,000 to 20,000, because these are possible new leads, right? But with that, consistency gives you a lot more opportunities. And truthfully, when we're talking about percentages, you only need a little bit, and that's the beauty of leveraging your time. And
Mhm.
and that's really truly my goal, is to work less and make more, but to have more energy and time with
Mhm.
customized material for each student. So
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jason. And yes, Jason is in the Teacher Academy. For those of you who would love to join the Teacher Academy and you're not there, we are going to be opening the doors of Teacher Academy again next week for 1 week, because we take new teachers just a few times a year to the Teacher Academy, and we open it publicly. So if you are interested, just message me with the word Teacher Academy, and I'm going to share more details with you. And I want to hear about your takeaways. So I can see Christine is saying, how do I join the Teacher Academy? I'm going to share. So right now it's not possible today, but we are going to open it next week, and we are going to email you, and you will know more information about the Teacher Academy. Now I just wanted to hear about Jensen's experience in the Teacher Academy. So maybe we didn't even go into technicalities, what everything you can expect from there. But if you are going to just message me, Christine, just mention Teacher Academy, and I'm going to follow up with you. I would like to hear your takeaways, all of your takeaways from this session. And the last kind of question to Jason: what would be one thing you would want every teacher to know or to take away from this session into their lives?
yes, this is a great question. It's a big question, exactly. So invest in yourself. Easily investing in the Teacher Academy has been the best investment that I make. And I think you can understand this also, but the more that you invest in yourself, the more other people invest in you. And also, the more that you show up with your consistency, the more likely people are to show up for you. But for me, truly, the answer is this. If you feel like you have the expertise, you have the passion, you love what you do, you want to really leverage your time, you're a creative person, right? And you're really driven, Teacher Academy is for you because they give you all the steps. It's all laid out. All you have to do is follow it, and you can follow it at your own path, and you can build your business as big or small as you want. But it gives you all the tools that you need to take your expertise and truly monetize it. And I think that that's something that teachers do not have. We know how to teach, but like I said, being a teacher entrepreneur, it's something completely, completely different. And if you want to learn something, if you want to do something, you need to learn it from somebody that's already done it. And that's exactly why I'm here, right? And you really just expedite that process. And I trust the process 2000%, right? And that's why I'm consistent because I know I will just continue to follow the steps and it will lead me to my goals, to success. And that's the main takeaway that I would give everybody, and give it a shot, at least give it a shot. Truly, you have nothing to lose. But for me, it's extremely valuable, and it can give you I think a better career, better teaching career, and better quality of life. My goal is to spend more time with my family, my wife, my beautiful wife, and my son and my dog. That's my why. It's not the money. It's my family. That's my big why, right? So you need to leverage your time and just follow the steps in Teacher Academy. And Steffi is absolutely amazing with the mindset. I think she's brilliant, and they hold your hand and guide you. And there's a lot of community and a lot of accountability. All that together, I think will really make a big impact on your teaching career. So
Thank you, Jason. So inspiring to listen to you, and I think everybody here would
thank
agree with
you.
me. So it's investment. That's the takeaways. Invest in yourself, and then
Mhm.
your students will invest in you as well.
Yep.
It was so nice having you here, Jason. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you
Thanks for
everybody
having me.
else who joined us, and everybody else who is watching the recording. I'm going to invite Jason again at some point in the future, and reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you, and have a
Okay.
good day.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Take
Bye,
care.
Jason. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.